Greetings, soul family. I am praying that you are well and having a blessed and abundant day. Amenti the Awakener here, Amenti the Oracle. And if you are joining me on YouTube, then this is my second time going live, especially from my laptop. So if there are any issues, then please just let me know in the comments below, comment box below, so that I can get onto that. And to my Instagram family, I just want to send you so much love of the highest vibration and welcome you into this space. Come on in. Again, my name is Amenti the Awakener, and I was guided to come on here today because something was happening for me and I was working myself through it. And so as I was working myself through it, Spirit said to me, you know what, this is something that you need to share. This is something that you need to share with others. Hopefully in the vein that you might have had these experiences yourself, and also to help you to do some of the inner healing work that you might need to do. So first and foremost, I want to acknowledge your presence and give thanks for the gift of life, for the gift of breath, and for the blessing of the divine in each one of us. I'm giving thanks to everybody that tunes into this particular transmission and giving thanks for your energy, your light, and your love. Okay, and so, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you alchemize your core wounds. And the core wound that I'm going to speak about is abandonment. And I'm going to come from a space of vulnerability today, because this doesn't come from a teaching. This is coming from my own experience and my own experience. And the reason why I'm being called to share it is I know that we all go through similar experiences around core wounds, whether it might be abandonment, whether it might be like unworthiness, whatever it might be. And throughout my journey, in terms of spiritually, but also as a psychotherapist and a shamanic practitioner, I am consciously present and aware to energy as it moves through me. And what I like to do is to create space for me to tap into the intelligence of my own emotions, my own thoughts, my own experiences, so that number one, I can understand what my body and my being is communicating to me. And number two, so that I can learn and move through those so-called blockages, triggers, whatever it might be. So I'm going to talk a little bit about inner alchemy and how we can transform the wound of abandonment. Before I came on here, I did a little reading for myself just to tune into the frequency, because I received and knew what I was coming here to do, but just wanted to check what message source had for me in terms of the way in which I share this information. And the first card that came up, which I'm grateful for, is heart and blessings. And why that's important is because number one, this sharing is coming from my heart. As much as it's coming connected with my intellect and my wisdom, it's coming from my heart and my own experience. And the more that we share our experiences from our heart, the more that we build our human connection. And we also realize that we are all in some way going through these experiences together. And so when one person reveals a healing for themselves, it also then enlightens the path for others. And so the affirmation or the acknowledgement that goes with this card says, I am a blessing to anyone I meet. Those who love with God's love and know God. And when I show love, I show God to the world. And this is about me showing love to myself. Because when that wound of abandonment comes up, or any core wounds that we have come up, the first thing that we need to do is, number one, give love to ourselves and acknowledge the part of us that's coming up to be witnessed and coming up to be healed and coming up to be heard and coming up to be transformed. And then to also bathe that part of ourselves in love, because it already feels judged, criticized, unheard. So it's about being able to be present to your own self, your own emotions, and to be able to show that compassion and love to yourself. The second card that came out was Taurus, and Taurus represents our energy field, right? It represents our energy field and how we expand our energy into the world. And that also comes through and from the heart chakra, right? So it's an energy field that comes through and from the heart chakra. And basically whatever you're feeling is what gets pushed out into your energy field. So sometimes you may think to yourself and wonder, okay, why is it that people are responding to me in a certain way? Sometimes it's because this suppressed emotions, which is energy, emotion, or information, is being pushed out into our auric field because we don't want to consciously deal with it, and other people can pick up on it. So it says, whatever my challenge, today I choose to remain in the arms of the Divine Mother. I open myself to transforming the wounds of my heart into sparkling forces of love. So again, that felt like a confirmation that I needed to share what was happening in my own heart in the hope that it would help others. And then the last card that came out is Air, which is all about communication and expression. And this card talks about heart communication. So it says, in every relationship, I choose to act with openness and tolerance. I examine my way of communicating to ensure I express my truth and value that of others. And so I think that's pretty self-explanatory. This is me just being in a space of sharing my truth in the hope that it would connect me with others and also connect you to your truth. And when we're on this internet, we can very easily deify people and think that they're perfect because, they've got all of this knowledge and they've got all of this wisdom. But knowledge is easy to acquire, but more difficult to apply. And it takes certain qualities and gifts like compassion, awareness, empathy, being present to your own stuff. And not a lot of people are willing to do the healing work or the transformation work in your face. A lot of us do it behind closed doors. And today I was guided to share this in the hope, as I said, that it will help you to tap into your own inner truth, identify whatever core wounds you may be having that are impacting your life, and know how to transform them. So what was coming up for me? I have been doing a lot recently. If you've been watching my posts, if you've been seeing, the adverts and stuff that I've been doing a lot. We're already in June of 2024 and I have literally been having sold out events every month. I have been working with clients. I've been working behind the background and really, really just pushing forward. And it's been successful. Things have been well, but I was starting to feel this call within my body that I needed to slow down. I am a projector, a mental projector. So for me, I am always in and out of everybody's energy fields, whether I like it or not. When I get an idea and I'm inspired, I'm visionary. So I can see the whole plan and I get these great big spurts of energy. But I'm also learning that at different times I have to be aware of my own energy and know how my energy flows. And so I know I can work consistently for about a good 6 months and then I need at least a month break, right? And that's not because I don't know how to manage my energy, but that style works for me. So when we are in a low vibration or when our body is communicating to us that we need rest, it is also an opportunity for revelation, because when we are carrying, we can't really be attentive to our needs and whatever is going on underneath the surface. But when we stop and we take a moment and we sit, it's like all of the things that are stored within us come up to the fore. They come up to the forefront. And so as I'd made that decision to kind of just take some time with myself, I could feel my inner energies, my inner world starting to communicate with me. I went out with a friend yesterday and I went out with a friend yesterday. We had something to eat for lunch and whatnot. And I had a little fall when I was out. And the first thing that I noticed was when I fell was that there was there was people around, but no one did anything. No one looked, no one said anything. Like even my friend helped me. She was like, oh my God. But literally we were in a restaurant and nobody turned around. Like I think the guy who was serving looked down and then carried on with what he was doing, right? And it wasn't a big fall, but I did bruise my hip, and I'm not somebody that falls or anything like that, right? So when I got up, I said thank you to my friend. I went home and I just said, you know what, I clearly need rest, so I'm gonna take some time and I'm going to rest. And so I did, and I slept all night. When I got up this morning though, I had reached out to a friend who had said to me he was going to reach out to me, but hadn't reached out to me. And it's interesting because the week previous, a sister that had reached out to me and I said I was going to get back to her, had kind of let me know that she was a bit, that she had been waiting for me to get back to her and that I hadn't. And within myself, I had literally just gone from one thing to another. So I didn't even realize that I had said that I would get back to that person. And these are things that can happen quite a lot in my reality. As I said, this is an opportunity of vulnerability. Greetings, Olivia. We're talking about alchemizing our core wounds, and especially the wounds of abandonment and how we can do that in real time. Okay, so I recognized in myself when I had spoken to that particular friend who was now mirroring to me my own subconscious behaviors. When he had said, when I basically I had let him know that I was waiting for him to get back to me and he hadn't. And he then responded and let me know that, you know, he's busy and but he will get back to me. And it was interesting because I started to feel this energy in my body. And I thought, you know, well, let me just leave it. Let me just let that energy go and let me just carry on about my day, right? Because that's what we do. We kind of dismiss our feelings because of a myriad of reasons. We don't want to, you know, seem negative. We don't want to whatever, right? So I carried on about my morning, but I could feel this irritation in my spirit. I could feel it, and I could feel that if I didn't deal with this, it was going to fester for the rest of the day. So what I did was I sat down with myself and I said to myself, what is it that's coming up in me that needs my attention? What is it that I need to witness right now? And that is the first step towards inner alchemy, self-transformation. It's about, number one, recognizing and bringing awareness to the fact that something is happening within you. And also, number two, tapping into the intelligence of your body. Like, I speak to my body. I speak to the intelligence of my body. I recognize that something wasn't right. And I ask my body, okay, what am I feeling here? And as I asked, what am I feeling here? I didn't necessarily get words. What I got was a stronger feeling, but I was able to pinpoint where I was feeling it. So where I was feeling it was in between my heart and my solar plexus. And it was feeling kind of toxic. It was feeling like irritation and frustration. Like, because I also asked, like, what does it feel like? It feels like irritation and frustration. And so I allowed myself to sit with that emotion even more. Like, what is irritating you? Why do you feel irritated? Oh, I feel irritated because I feel like I'm not important enough for people to remember. And I was like, okay, I'm observing my inner self communicating with me that I didn't feel important in that moment. And because I didn't feel important in that moment, it brought up that energy of frustration. And so I said, okay, I acknowledge myself in this moment. I acknowledge how I feel. But I also said to myself, okay, where does this come from? Where was the first time I felt like this? And it literally took me to childhood. And your subconscious mind will do that. As a hypnotherapist and a subconscious specialist, I've seen this happen with multiple of my patients and clients, right? When they're going through something, I'm able to use their emotions as a bridge towards the root cause of where they first felt that emotion. So today I was my own client and I was doing it on myself. And it took me to moments in childhood where I had felt abandoned, not even felt, had been abandoned by my parents. And that was emotionally abandoned in terms of my support or my need for support, and even sometimes emotionally abandoned physically and being left with people that weren't able to look after me, right? So that my mind was able to show me that wound. It was able to show me where that thing originated. And so I was able to be present to myself, looked at myself at that stage in my journey and just hold space for it. At this point, I wasn't trying to transform it. At this point, I wasn't trying to pacify or give love to my inner child. I was just wrecked had come from. And so it still felt like there was more, because as I was dipping into it, it was becoming more intensified. So I goes, okay, when was the first time before this that I felt this? And this is called regression, right? And it took me into the womb, and I could feel myself in my mother's womb, and I could feel her questioning whether she wanted to have me or not. And it was this information that was in my body, and my body had recognized that the first time it felt unimportant, the first time it felt abandonment, was when I was in the womb, when I was literally inside my mother's womb. And so my body had now created these control mechanisms. My personality as I came out of the womb and as I grew was all about trying to feel safe. And when I didn't feel safe, I switched that around and started to make everyone around me feel safe. So I was my mother's support, her advocate. Whenever she was going through her domestic violence and things like that, I was the one that was there, supporting her, being there for her. With my stepdad, same thing. He was my abuser, but I was there. Why was this my pattern of behavior? Because subconsciously, I was externally sourcing and externally trying to be for others what I desperately needed for myself. And the fact that others around me did not become aware that actually, even though she's doing all of these things, even though she's very mature and she's helpful, what about her? What does she need? That question was never asked, right? So what happened in that moment was I told myself subconsciously, that I would receive my reward in heaven. It's mad, right? And that was one of my coping mechanisms. Don't worry, you're going to receive your reward in heaven, because clearly these people can't look after themselves. So how are they going to look after you? And that became my mindset. As an old soul, it's very easy to fall into that way of being, because you come with a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and you can see things that other people can't see. So for me as a child, it made me think, you know what, because I have this knowledge, because I have this vision, because I have this foresight, because I have this connection to the Creator, and God literally tells me everything I need to know, maybe these people that I'm expecting to look after me and be there for me cannot, because they themselves don't have that connection. And so that became my coping mechanism, being for others what I wanted to be for myself. Also, I became someone that accommodated everyone. I understood everyone's issues. Okay, you can't make that today, that's fine. You can't be there for me today, that's fine. I'm going to be there for you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And on one hand, you think to yourself, yes, you're being helpful, you're being supportive, but it's also becomes another form of self-abandonment, because what happens is that you then put the thoughts and needs of others again before yourself. So what was happening for me this morning as I was going through that process was I was identifying that there was still areas within my body and within my life where those wounds of abandonment were still playing out. There were areas in my life where those feelings of not being important were still playing out. And without noticing, not even without noticing, because your relationships reflect to you what it is that you're not seeing about the way that you're showing up, right? So the sister who was basically bringing to my attention that I had forgotten her was basically a reflection of the inner child within me, who was saying that I had forgotten me, right? Because when you now put everybody else before yourself and everybody else is more important than you, especially when you've been through abandonment issues, that can be your coping mechanism. You then become a person who self-abandons yourself, right? And I'm going to go a little bit through how those coping mechanisms, how mirroring becomes one of the coping mechanisms. Because when you feel like other people don't place importance on you, or maybe if, let's say, you felt like you needed your partner to communicate with you what he was doing and where he was going, and he felt like, I don't need to do that. That makes me feel trapped and uncomfortable. You would then adopt that for yourself. You'll think to yourself, oh, okay, well, humans don't like to have somebody that wants to know where they are or shows their concern. So be detached. Be completely detached. Let people do what they want. Let people think how they want. You know, if somebody wants to be with you, they'll show you that they want to be with you. And if they don't, then they won't. But life doesn't work like that. It's all about reciprocity, right? So if you are then mirroring, without knowing, you're mirroring how other people have treated you, and then you're treating other people in that way, thinking that it's normal. Because don't forget, these processes come in when we are a child. So we don't even know that these are coping mechanisms. We think that they are just our ways of being. But it's only when we start to be aware of how it's impacting us and be aware of the triggers, right? Because the triggers lead to the transformations. Be aware of the triggers, then it helps us to identify where we as a child develop these coping mechanisms that actually perpetuate the same thing that we did not want to experience, right? So as I was going through that process of clearing within my own self, I literally created space to bear witness to my own self, to what was going on for me, right? So I gave space, time, and attention to what was happening for me. And I literally was writing and having this dialogue with myself, like asking questions like, what's coming up for you today? And then giving myself the answer. And it's a very powerful skill to be able to do that. They tell you that talking to yourself is a sign of madness. Whereas actually having that dialogue with yourself is a form of sanity, because you are looking for someone else to understand you outside of yourself, when really it's you dealing with you, right? And so you have to be able to get to a space where you can have real conscious conversations with yourself, with your ego, with your inner child, with the different aspects of yourself, so that you can gain the wisdom and also bring things into alignment. And what happened was, as I was speaking to myself and I was saying, okay, what's coming up here? And then I heard, okay, abandonment. I said, okay, so I acknowledge that feeling of abandonment and not feeling important. Where's that coming up for you in your lifetime? Like, how is that coming up for you in terms of how you treat yourself and in terms of how you treat others? And I just allow myself to go through that process. And what was happening was I was peeling off these layers. And then I goes, okay, well, what's the core wound behind this? Like, what is the affirmation or the program behind this? And it was, I am not important. And I am not important is not just unique to me. I am not important is unique to so many of us on this human journey. And we do all kinds of crazy things to ourselves and others from that place of not feeling important, from that place of not feeling seen and not feeling valued, right? And as much as I had prided myself on trying to create spaces for others where they could feel supported and be seen, I was also guilty of not in that moment. Well, in that moment I was, but not prior to that, holding that space for myself, right? And it's important because we are the ones that need our compassion, our love, our empathy. We need to hold space for ourselves so that we can listen to, what's going on inside us, those things that are suppressed. We are the ones that have to hold that space for ourselves, because when we don't, then, it can cause a lot of problems for us and also in our relationships with others. So I had identified that core wound of not feeling enough. And what was happening was I was feeling this tightness in my throat. And so rather than kind of resist it, because what happens is when we feel these painful emotions, we resist it or we fall into it. When falling into it means that you start to feel the sadness, you attach to the sadness, and before you know it, you're just sad, right? But what we're doing here is transforming and transmuting this energy. So I'm feeling it, but I'm also guiding it and directing it through a space of transformation. So it was going up into my throat and I could feel a tightness in my throat. And the tightness that was coming up was showing me where the block was, not feeling like I could express my truth and say what I needed to other people, right? To say what I want, say what my standards are, say what my values are, without the fear of them rejecting or abandoning me. And recognizing that if they did, then that was because we're not aligned. But my purpose is to never abandon myself. Right? And that was what I was uncovering in this moment. So I was soothing my throat. And I was encouraging my throat to say whatever it is that she wanted to say, right? Because that energy is information, and that energy needed to be expressed, and it needed to be expressed through my throat, through the words, because it was my words that had been swallowed, right? It was my truth from my heart of what I needed that had been suppressed. And so my heart needed to be free to express that. It's interesting because I also felt like I wanted to do something, like I not necessarily punch something, but I felt like I wanted to do something with my body. And I recognized that that was the emotion of anger and frustration that needed an outlet. So all I did was, as I said, through this process of working with myself, when it got to my throat, I was just healing myself. I was just nurturing myself. I was just giving myself that support. And I could feel almost like as my throat began to get looser. It was tight, but then it started to get looser as I gave myself that compassion and as I recognized that wound. And I allowed that part of me that felt wounded to speak. I don't feel like I'm important. And I allowed my higher self to say, you know what, you are important, but I honor your experience. I honor how you have absorbed your experiences, but this is not true. You are. And then I allowed myself, my higher self, to show me all of the times in which I had made myself important, how other people had in fact had valued my importance. Because the thing about the subconscious mind is it will believe whatever it is that you tell it. You might have one experience out of 100 experiences where somebody says something negative to you, and your subconscious mind and your ego is going to hold on to that one thing. And it doesn't matter how many positive experiences that you have, unless you address that one time where the ego says, I am not loved, I am not supported, then it's always kind of running in your background, in your subconscious, right? So there was a release that took place. I had tears that were falling. I didn't question the tears, because tears are another alchemical process of transforming energy, right? I didn't need to rationally understand it. I just needed to allow it to move and flow through me. And so it did. And through that release of that energy, I was able to kind of understand and gain some of the wisdom that my own higher self was telling me. And it was literally as I was touching my throat, it says the more that we choose ourselves, the more that others choose you. Like when you see your own importance, then others will see your importance too. And then that just feeds into boundaries and values and standards and how you hold yourself sacred. Now, I am life path number 1 and a soul number 6. Life path number 1 is all around leadership, right? But I'm also about learning about leading myself and tapping into the part of me that is wise and allowing it to lead. And in order to do so, you have to be coming from a place of balance, right? You have to be coming from a place of self-nourishment so that you can give from an overfill rather than from the need, right? And for us who are healers, coaches, I find that a lot in our craft, that we give from a place of giving without recognizing that we also need. And because we may not have had those needs met, our coping mechanism is to be that for others, which we need for ourselves. So today, I chose to hold space for myself. I chose to not just deny the emotion that I was feeling, but to allow myself to go through that process of release. And when I was releasing it and then giving that love and compassion to myself, I felt myself fill up. I felt my throat become looser, because the somatic information and energy that was hidden in my body, that was held by these core wounds and core beliefs, was now able to come out. It was now able to be released. It was now able to be expressed. I expressed it through my throat. I expressed it through my body. I expressed it through the tears. And then what I did was I reframed it. I reframed that core belief by recognizing that I may have been abandoned in the past, but I will never abandon myself. And that's what it teaches you. The core wound of abandonment teaches you, number one, about never abandoning yourself, right? Gifting yourself with your time, your presence, your empathy, your love, your energy, right? Abandonment, I mean, really, on a soul level, we can never really be abandoned, right? We can feel abandoned, but we can never really be abandoned, because ultimately we are present to ourselves. We're present to the power within ourselves. We are our own friend and our own company, but we are also humans. And so in this human journey, our relationships with others have a profound impact on how we understand ourselves and how we understand others. So from a soul perspective, all of the experiences that you're going through in your life are helping you to understand and learn and become the expression of yourself that you came here to be. So I came here to experience abandonment in order to be able to truly, number one, be committed to honoring the divine within me, and then being a reflection for others. If I hadn't gone through feeling abandoned by others, I wouldn't have developed this deep sense of compassion and empathy for others. My work wouldn't be, purely infused with that intent to give to others what I feel like we all need. But if it's still coming from a broken place, and if you are outsourcing your healing by providing for others what you need for yourself, then you are ultimately doing yourself a disservice. And the beauty of being someone who's on this journey of self-healing, self-mastery, is that the more work that you do for yourself, the more that you get to be an example, if anything, for others. It's not something that you have to do, so to speak. It's not something that you now have to put out there. And in my human design, I'm a 1-3. So I have the aspect of the martyr, right? I have the aspect of the martyr where I will self-sacrifice and take on everything for others, right? And that helps in terms of my purpose of liberation and leadership. But it also creates a shadow lesson for me where I have to learn to trust and be present to the power in me, and lead from a place of self-leadership, lead from a place of self-awareness, lead from a place of love. Because in order to be a leader, especially in this time, you have to be able to trust in what you know, trust in who you are, trust in what you receive, right? But if you're coming from a place where you still have wounds of abandonment or rejection, then you're still somewhere seeking validation and can never really be truly committed to following the guidance that comes through you, that comes through your heart, right? So yeah, for me, the truth in expression today was just about, number one, being vulnerable to the fact that we're always and we are all moving through different stages of ourselves, and how important those formative years of our lives are with regards to how we then see ourselves as adults growing up. I also wanted you to know that when something is coming up for you in the moment, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that there's this, big thing that you have to do. The most important and powerful thing that you can do for yourself is to pay attention, to be present to whatever you're feeling without judgment, without needing to fix yourself, but have a dialogue and a communication with the energy that's moving through you, because energy is information, light is information, and your purpose is to find out how to interpret the information that's flowing through you and to utilize it either in a positive way or in a way where you need to disperse it and release it, right? Our experiences are here to help us understand the divine intelligence within us, and every aspect of our being has an element of intelligence. When you are feeling something, rather than judging yourself, Tap into that feeling. Like, ask yourself, what am I feeling here? When you want to make a decision, tap into your heart and ask yourself, okay, what is it that my heart wants me to do? This is where your moral compass is. But if it's not consciously cleared out, then it becomes a space which holds hostage for your pain, holds hostage for people, you know, and situations and things that have happened to you. And so the lens of your heart cannot be clear. The compass of your heart cannot be clear. And so we consciously have to be in a space of connecting with whatever's coming up in us and bearing witness to it so that it can be alchemized through love. Alchemy is the process of transforming your lower aspects into gold. The lower aspects are the lower vibrational experiences, but the gold is the wisdom, right? And through the process of inner alchemy, you are able to be supported in uncovering those deep held subconscious programs that you're not even aware of that are impacting your being and informing the way that you show up, and now start to identify them, clear them, and allow more of who it is that you are, the unfiltered part of you, to come through. Because people pleasing and all of these kind of things, it's just not the way. But it is a part of what happens to us when we are young and we are learning how to relate to ourselves and others. So being able to hold space for yourself, being able to recognize how things are affecting you and impacting you from a place of love, from a place of self-care, from a place of nurturing, rather than from a place of judgment, can allow you to be in a space where that transformation now gives you access to wisdom. And through that wisdom, you can now share that with others. I myself train people in inner alchemy coaching, training people to be a coach who not only just guides people, but helps navigate them through those transformations, those internal transformations that need to happen. I have combined my hypnotherapy skills and my shamanic therapy skills and just my ability that I understand humans and I understand that the way that we transform energy, and I have infused it into that program so that it helps not just even clients, but also those who feel called to step up and work with others. It has a deep focus on ensuring that you are always working on yourself and giving you the tools. Like the process that I walked you through, number one, just being aware, being aware of the fact that there's something happening inside of you that's uncomfortable. Being aware of it. Okay, what am I feeling? Questioning it, investigating it. What am I feeling? Where is this coming from? Where have I first felt this? What does this feel like? What are the words behind this? Like really getting connected to the information that's coming up in your body, right? Which has initially come up as frustration, going deeper into it and bearing witness to the part of your power, the part of yourself that is hiding behind those limited beliefs and core wounds. When you identify it, it's about being in a space of love with yourself, not in a space of judgment. Acknowledge, okay, I recognize that that's where I learned that. But how is that showing up for us? How is that working for us? What do I choose? Because the thing is, when you are a child and when you are being fed subconsciously, you don't feel like you have a choice. When you become conscious, you do have a choice. And it's then your choice to recognize where some of the things that are in the toolbox that is you, or some of the programs that are running in the system that is you, are not aligned with who you are not aligned with how you want to show up, are not in alignment with how you want to live, and are not in alignment with the integrity of how you choose to live as a being. Recognize that and let them go. And then you have the chance now to instill new codes, to instill new programs, to instill a new heart's compass in terms of how you're going to live and what feels like truth, love, and alignment for you, right? And that's where we get to choose. We might not be able to choose what has happened to us, even though on a soul level, everything is perfect, right? Everything is divinely aligned. But what you do get to do is to choose how to transform that and how you're going to now live, because your experiences will teach you, whether positive or negative, whether what you chose in that moment is a choice that you want to continue making. So we also ultimately have a choice in how we transform and heal those core wounds and limited beliefs. As give thanks, Sister Love, Gift Vegan. She said, beautiful message. Thanks for sharing. Let me know how this is resonating with you. I know some people are coming in and out. But I was just guided to have a moment of vulnerability with you guys where I was working through dealing with my own issues of abandonment, and some of the residues that were coming up for me this morning. What I did throughout this live was just show you the process of alchemy, how to identify when an emotion is coming up, how to hold space for that emotion, how to be present to that emotion, how to use that emotion as a regression point. Because when we are in a fear of what it is that we're feeling, or we're constantly in this space of wanting to feel good, when I won't even say unhealthy emotions, but when triggering emotions, when lower vibrational emotions come up to the fore, the first thing that we want to do is put happy all over it, or we want to go outside and, forget about it. But there is extreme power in being able to be present to what is coming up for you and through you, because really it is coming up for you. If it's coming up as a stagnant emotion, if it's coming up as an irritation to you, what came to my mind in the shower was irritations lead to releases of illusions, right? Because when you're irritated with something, you start to inquire, you start to look into it. You have to ask yourself, okay, what is causing this irritation? Is it me accepting things that I shouldn't? Is it me overgiving? Because like I said, ultimately, you have the power to choose how you respond to whatever's happening in your life, right? So our triggering experiences are coming up to help us identify what within our being needs to be witnessed. And as I said, through the process of inner alchemy, through the process that I've just shown you, I took myself through that journey this morning and recognized that everything that I was giving to everybody else in that moment, I needed it for myself. And my frustration was coming from the fact of people not appreciating how much I do, but focusing more on when I make one mistake, right? And again, that's for me. That was for me. That was for me to acknowledge that I needed to hold space for myself, that I needed to be there for myself, hold compassion for myself, right? And yeah, as I said, Spirit really encouraged me to come on and share that process, because sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we get stuck at the uncomfortable feeling. Sometimes we get stuck at the irritation, and we don't always hold space for us to witness what it is that our body, our emotions are communicating to us. And then sometimes we feel like it's very difficult to release or transform core wounds. But as I said, through this inner alchemy process, it helps you to understand exactly how to do that, because energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So the transformation of that energy takes place through the process of inner alchemy, by acknowledging it, by holding space for it, by getting to the root of it, by giving it a voice. I'm always saying to my clients, give your pain a voice, because we're so used to holding it in our body, holding it by, okay, I'm not going to say nothing. Okay, I'm not going to answer that question. Okay, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do that. Suppress. At some point, I must get frustrated. At some point, it's going to need a way of releasing, right? And so we get to be kinder to ourselves and others when we pay attention to what is coming up to us and through us and for us, right? And when we are faced with certain things in relationship with other people, especially if I feel like I'm in relationship with someone, and we're in relationship with people all the time, right? And something comes up that they're sharing with me to say, this is where I feel pain, or this is where I feel hurt, or this is where I feel like you have done something to me. I always hold space, even though I take away all judgment, right? There's no judgment coming from you. Even if you are trying to judge me, in my mind, there's no judgment, because you are a reflection of me. And there's no judgment coming from me, because I'm always open to learning about myself. So if you're bringing something to my attention, the first thing I'm going to look at in myself is, okay, where can I take accountability here? Is that about giving over power? No, it's about recognizing that that person is an aspect of me. And if that person is reflecting something to me, then that means that there's something inside that I can tap into, right? Even just to honor their reflection. So I always check in with myself, because it's an opportunity to learn. And if it's something that I'm not aware of, I can only ask you to inform me more, because by me learning how to be aware of and attentive to your needs and how you show up, it gives me permission also to be aware and attentive to my needs and how I show up, and we can communicate that to each other. And as we communicate that to each other, we build these threads and we build these connections of humanity. And if you look at our world, you would realize that everyone's going through the same thing, but nobody is really, well, not even nobody, I can't say that. Most people aren't even open enough to show others that they're in pain. right? Because we've got this false illusion that we're supposed to be okay and everybody's, but no, it doesn't work like that. They've turned us against each other. And the one thing that has the extreme power is our humanity. It's our unity. There are so many things in the human condition that we are united through. Our emotions, our experiences, our pain. They might not all be the same, but what they are is intrinsically human. And so when we allow ourselves to not judge ourselves through this false image of perfection, but allow ourselves to be this work of art that we are refining through our whole journey, then we release the lens of shame and guilt and all of that stupid stuff that stops you from being real with the people around you. And you open up to authenticity. You open up to true connection, right? And so I'm giving thanks in this moment that I was inspired to share this, because it's also an opportunity for authenticity. Yes, you see an image on your screen of somebody who seems like they're in a realm of perfection. I only got to where I've got to in my journey by being very aware of myself. Yeah. But in that awareness, I'm also being aware of where I might have told myself things in order to help me cope with some of the things that were going on in my life that actually needed my attention, but I felt like I didn't have the power, the knowledge, the wisdom to deal with them. And so as I grow through my life, they're going to come up once more through my emotions, through my interactions, so that I can bear witness to them and transform them. That is the purpose of life. So when we meet our experiences from a place of love and compassion, when we meet our pain from the point of or from the space of something within us coming up to be witnessed into love, then we allow all of our experiences to inform us, nurture us, and help us to grow, rather than looking at our wounds and our challenges as things that make us undeserving or unworthy of love. That's rubbish, right? What's happening in your life when things are going wrong, when you feel like you're having health ailments or you're feeling frustrated, it is you, your soul, calling you to pay attention to you. Because most of the time we are programmed into giving to everybody else, giving power to everybody else, giving value to everybody else. But what about you? Some of the things that we are taught, some of the religious things that we are taught actually destabilize us. Turn the other cheek, give to others and not to yourself. Like, how does that even make sense? Our ancient ancestors talk about reciprocity. You cannot breathe out without breathing in, otherwise you're going to die. If you just breathe in, you're going to die. If you just hold your breath, you're going to die. If you just breathe out, you're going to die. So everything has to be done with balance. And so when we have certain things that are implanted into our minds that say that other people are more important than us, then we diminish our own value and then start to tell ourselves that we are unimportant. And so we will feel like it's good to put ourselves on the back burner. We will feel like it's good to sacrifice our own health so that other people will feel supported. That's rubbish. That's ridiculous, right? Because then when the illness happens to you, it's happening for you. It's happening for you to show you that you need to bring your attention back to yourself, that you need to bring that love back to yourself, that you need to bring that healing back to yourself. And so I do not reject or deny any challenges, anything that's coming up in me to be witnessed. In fact, I give thanks. I'm grateful that I felt like shit this morning. I'm grateful to my friend for not responding. I'm grateful for the people who didn't check in on me yesterday. That's a positive thing, but because it encouraged me to look deeper within myself and think about who I want to be and how I want to show up. I will never become a person who's going to see somebody else drop on the street and instead I'm just going to look at them like it's not my problem, or I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to film it. We don't realize how desensitized we have become to other people's pain because we're so full up of our own. And what's going to be needed for us to move through this whole world shift that we're going through right now is to get to a point where you're willing to die for others and willing to die for the sovereignty of yourself, right? And you can only really be attentive to the needs of others genuinely when you are attentive to the needs of your own, to your own needs, to your own self. Because sometimes, even as women, but I don't know about anybody else, I'm just going through an assessment of my life. Sometimes we give in the hope that someone will give to us, when what we really need to be doing is giving to ourselves, which then allows us to give more to others. Right? As I said, I'm in the process of really being aware of some of the subconscious programming and limited beliefs that have impacted my life, but from a place of love, Again, I'm a 1-3 human design mental projector. So I'm here to study myself. And as I study myself, I give to others. So I look at things like, okay, even in my relationships, you know, like sometimes we might think to ourselves, somebody's not doing something that we would like them to do, or they're not showing up in the way that we would like them to show up. And we think to ourselves, oh, okay, you know what? Let me just wait. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Yes, welcome to the men as well. I'm just speaking from my perspective, but yes, please, I'm welcoming the brothers as well and welcoming you to share, right? So you might feel to yourself, okay, 2 days, 3 days, I haven't heard from that person, but let me just not say nothing. I'm sure they're busy. You keep on going against your inner masculine, your inner guide that's saying to you, okay, there needs to be some reciprocal energy here. And I know for myself, when I look at those things, especially when it comes to relationships, and the reason why I talked about relationship and about women and men is because I can only talk from my viewpoint, and I've been realizing a lot that a lot of these issues, not even issues, but some of these thought processes that I have, these coping mechanisms, comes from my relationship with my father. My father was not there, but I learned from him how to be an illusionist. And I'm just honest, I learned how to have a fantasy of a man in your head, of what you want him to be, of what he's supposed to be. And he says to you, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming. And never comes. But in order for you not to feel like, you know, the real issue of abandonment, you keep saying to yourself, oh no, well, he's going to come. Oh no, he's going to come. And then you wonder why you're 30 and 40 and still not able to read the expressions of someone in relationship, to read whether somebody actually wants to be with you or not, because you've been programmed without knowing, subconsciously, into constantly waiting and not trusting your feelings, constantly in this illusionary space and falling in love with potential rather than falling in love with what's actually happening. Because if love is a doing word and you say that you love me so much, then why is it that when I need you, you're not there? Where are the actions that reflect this love, right? What I'm trying to say to you is that the experiences in your life that you go through, regardless, are framing the way that you think, what you accept, and how you show up in life. And at some point, you have to do the process, the work of going back through that stuff and picking out what serves me, what doesn't serve me, what is, you know, what is working for me, what is not, what is good and what is bullshit. Like, you have to be willing to do that. And when you do that, you can now start to craft and create a being in you as you that you can get behind, that is integral and that you can, you know, be proud of. But we have to be aware of the things that are stopping us from coming into alignment with what it is that we want, what it is that we need, and who it is that we really are. Are we showing up as ourselves? If we're constantly hiding who we are we really showing up as ourselves? So yeah, that was the download. Let me know how it's resonated with you, if you're receiving any codes from this. Yeah, what is the antidote for a core wound? What is an antidote? Greetings, Nuruddin. Greetings to everybody that's come in whilst I've been speaking. Greetings, Timothy and Dawn. And Supreme says, what a beautiful message, Empress. Thank you for sharing and transmuting your beautiful, positive, powerful energy. You're welcome. I think each day about how can I be of a real service? Yes, I have a business. Yes, I'm online, but I really am about this change. Like, how can I be of real service? And I think today Spirit was showing me the way I can be of real service is by showing my humanity, right? The world is in trouble. And so you got to get your mind and your heart right. Okay. People are suffering unnecessarily. So you need to get your heart and your mind right. And people might not always have energy, time to invest in your business. People might not even have the energy and time to even invest in themselves in the moment. But if you can share something that can trigger somebody into their own self-inquiry and then self-empowerment and healing, then for me, I've done what I need to do. Right. So, yeah, what are the antidotes for the core wound? And there are many core wounds. And what I did do for myself this morning is record a hypnosis for identifying and dealing with core wounds. So if that's something that you would like me to share with you, then put a comment in the box below. What should it say? Core wound. Just put core wound, or you can just DM me as well and I can share that with you. But as I said, being present to what's coming up and then going in and reframing it is how we do the work. You have to be aware first. You can't just go into the system and clear out stuff. You need to be aware of what's coming up in your system unconsciously and then clear it consciously. But what is the antidote to a core wound? Self-love. Self-love, self-fulfillment, presence, giving yourself your time, your energy, self-nurturing. All of these so-called feminine qualities are the antidote to those core wounds. And knowing that you have a right to choose, because you do, you have a right to choose how you move forward. And even if you don't know how to, you can learn how to. But by just saying, you know what, I don't choose this as my reality anymore, that starts the process of change and transformation. Timothy said, just be real. Yes. I mean, there's not that much realness going on in life right now. And yeah, I want to change that, because really, like, we're humans. And all of this is to really get us to understand unity consciousness, that we are all connected. It doesn't matter whether I started first and you started last. We're all connected, right? What's happening on the world stage is our ignorance is being shattered. Yeah, our ignorance is being shattered. Well, we could say, oh no, that's happening to them over there, and oh no, that's happening to them over there. We're realizing that actually this is a collective experience. We have a collective experience. We've been told that the first world is the first world, but really it's the third world. It's really feeding off of everything natural to create this fake illusion, right? So everything that's happening in the world is to dismantle the illusion. So you have to also see that transformation within yourself. Where do you need to dismantle the illusions, right? Where do you need to dismantle the illusions? This morning, the illusion that was getting dismantled was the illusion of separation from you and your craft, from you and the work that you do. What qualifies me to do the work that I do is that I'm constantly working on myself, right? So that my job can be to support people in doing the same for themselves and share some of those tools, right? Somebody said, I hope you're recording this. This is a message a lot of people need to hear. I hope I am too. I've got my Zoom on, I've got my YouTube on, and I've got my Instagram. So hopefully in somewhere, it will get recorded. But thank you for your presence. I really appreciate you. Hey, Sister Nakilia, I love you. It says, this resonates, giving thanks always. You are in my heart, and I'm just sending you the highest vibration of love. Yes. Yes, it's just important to be real. Like, let's be real. Because even when this whole pandemic thing started in 2020, like, my gaze was on Revelations 22. I'm not here for the drama. I knew the drama was going to come. I'm here for the rebuilding. Yeah, the rebuilding of humanity, the rebuilding that's going to take place in here, because you can only cause harm to other people if you've allowed harm to yourself, or if you've been harmed and not done anything about it. Right? So that is why we're all having to do this work on ourselves. But best believe my focus is on building. So how do we build a reality in a world that doesn't go through what we're going through now? By connecting, by being human. That is going to be the currency, your humanity. Right? How can you hold space for each other? When we're together, we heal. When we're together, we thrive. When we're together, we grow. Right? And there are certain things that are keeping us away from each other. It might be even each other's pain. I do healing circles, and I remember one time when this woman was going through this big catharsis, and I felt everyone in the room kind of go, oop, I don't want anything to do with that. And I'll tell you what I did. I protected everyone, showed everyone how to protect their energy, and I brought everybody into that healing. Shall I tell you why? Because we are all connected. The only reason why you want to protect yourself from somebody else's pain is because it's going to trigger your own. But why don't you just be present to the fact that you have that pain? Or even recognize that pain in another and hold space. This is what's going to be required for the change that's happening. And it's like we're going to have to suffer until we get to the point where we realize that we need each other. We're going to have to suffer until we get to the point where we realize that we are the change, right? But it starts with being honest. It starts with being open. It starts with being vulnerable. As young, bringing it back to the subject just a little bit more, as when we are young and we're going through stuff in life, right, we adapt, and the adaptations in our behaviors, in our traits, are our survival mechanisms. And we don't really always register that these are survival mechanisms. We might think that they are parts of ourselves. That's just how I am. It's really not. I've even had clients who have had gender identity issues, who have felt like this is who I am and how I am. And when we've regressed to the source of where the choice within them was made for this to happen, it happened in the womb, and it happened based on their subconscious mind being aware of threats that it might experience in the external world, and so genetically shifted itself so that it would have more of whatever, whether it's more feminine genes or whether it's more not genes, energy or masculine energy, in order to protect it from the imposed or the predisposed threat that's coming out of when they're born out of the womb. These are things that are held within our conscious. We don't know how coping mechanisms happen, or when our parasympathetic nervous system or our subconscious mind chooses to put that safety button on and bring in a different type of behavior that's going to protect us. But as we grow, we have to identify those, and relationships and how we relate with others is the prime way in which we do that, right? So part of what I was going through was looking at the coping mechanisms that I had occurred for this abandonment, and obviously I wasn't conscious of it, so I had to ask myself. That's how you tap into your subconscious, through role play, right? Through imaginary role play, but through visual discourse. And so I was asking myself, okay, what behavior traits did I adapt from feeling abandonment? The first one was modeling. So because I felt like maybe I'm expecting too much from my parents to be there for me and to take care of my needs, I lessened my expectation. And so then thought that, okay, other people feel the same, right? So if I ask somebody to do something, or if I ask somebody to be there for me and they're like, you know what, I'm busy, and that's the response I'm constantly getting, then I'm going to do the same to other people. I'm either going to be overly giving to others, or I'm going to be unavailable to others, right? So recognizing that modeling was part of the purpose. Like, okay, another example would be that I moved a lot when I was younger. So you form relationships with people, but you're always moving, you're always leaving. How do you cope with that? Because part of your being requires stability. Part of our humanity requires stability and repetitiveness. So if we are a child that's constantly moving around from place to place to place, we find a coping mechanism which says, actually, I love change. I love change. I don't like to be in the same place all the time. But that's a coping mechanism, right? Because a part of you does desire stability. And in order for you to have relationships that are long lasting and sustaining, that's a big part of it. And so you might find that you gravitate to relationships where people aren't emotionally available, or they're quite unconventional. Why? Because that part of you that needs consistency has traded its truth for accepting something which is not what it needs, right? And it's only when you now have had enough of those kind of experiences and those relationships with people where, when you've had enough of those experiences, do you start to say to yourself, okay, well, who am I really and what do I need really? Right? You start to think about yourself. So modeling is one of the ways in which we develop coping mechanisms when it comes to abandonment. Overgiving, constantly giving to others. Remember I said before, like sometimes even some of these Bible scriptures be tricking you out of your own power. Like, give unto others and in the hope that you'll get for yourself. Like, how does that make any sense? How can you even give anybody anything that you don't have? Like, it's just this constant thing of putting yourself on the back burner. Tell you that you're making time for yourself, you're being selfish rather than being self-full, right? So we have to recognize that some of the things that we have been taught that are good girl tactics that make us feel like, yes, we are gaining points, are because we're sacrificing ourselves. And through the sacrificing of ourselves, we tell ourselves that we're not important. And so therefore, energetically speak to the world as well that we are not important. So as we do this healing work on ourselves, right? As we start to investigate our own processes, as we start to unpack our behaviors and the ways in which we do things and why we do things, as we start to have that process of self-inquiry, we start to become wise to the programs that are running inside of us, through us, in our processes that don't serve us, that don't serve our highest good, that aren't grounded in truth, aren't grounded in wholeness. And we can transform them. We can make a choice to release them, cancel, alt, delete, and upload new codes. So there are a few other coping mechanisms, but I'm going to leave it at that. And if you would like to know more about this, or if you would like to be supported in uncovering your limited beliefs and core wounds, then I would be open to creating something which will allow us to do that. But I felt like it was important for me to share this because the most powerful gift that you could give to yourself is your authenticity. The most powerful thing that you can give to yourself is your vulnerability. The most powerful thing you can give to yourself is your truth. And in a world where we're constantly being taught to suppress our truth, but yet talking about energy and wanting to manifest stuff without realizing that we've got saboteurs hiding in our own hearts and in our own minds, that create an element of cognitive dissonance that stop us from really being able to fulfill our heart's desires. We realize that it's important for us to be honest. It's important for us to do the work. And it's not for anybody else other than for us. And all we can do is share what we learn in the hope that it will empower and inspire others. But my soul is saying, do not trade your humanity for anything else. Because you're always going to be spirit. You are spirit. That's not debatable. That is what and who you are, light. But to be human and to be present in this experience, the beauty is in the connection. The beauty is in the shadow. The beauty is in the moments of highs and lows. That's the beauty of being human. Feeling, that's the beauty of being human. We are expanding into higher senses of consciousness, higher levels of consciousness, even higher senses. But do you know how beautiful it is to start from the beginning? That's exactly what we've done. We haven't just been born with all of these powers and we're living in this space where we're like, oh yeah, everything is everything. No, we're moving into that. We're evolving into that. Do you know how much beauty is in that? Because when you're evolving into something, you get to learn how it works. And when you learn how something works, you appreciate it so much more. And so as we make this ascent into more senses and more power and all of this stuff, like Spirit is saying, don't forget your humanity. The things that make you human are so important. Like in this world today, you got people stepping on each other's foot. Remember I told you I dropped yesterday and nobody batted an eyelid. What? You get people that are being killed and murdered and people are just taking out their phones. Until we are willing to get to a point where we value humanity and the safety of ourselves and each other's safety, we're going to keep on experiencing all of these atrocities, and we're going to keep on experiencing it in our own life. It's going to keep twisting and twisting and twisting and twisting until you get to the point where you've had enough and you clear all your stuff, tap into your power and really rediscover what is actually important. And what is important is humanity. We've got elders who are dying at rapid rates. We've got people who are dying from heart attacks, loneliness, suicide. We've got young people with autism, neurodivergent. You think that half of this stuff isn't to do with the fact that we're not humanly connected. The children and the elders must be connected. They literally revitalize each other. But we are living in a reality where humanity, the value of humanity, the value of connections has been diminished. And so the only way that that can be re-established is through the trauma, is through the things that we're seeing on the world stage. Because hopefully we'll get to that point where we will value our humanity so much that we will choose to stand up against everything that's happening, not just through external protests and external change and transformation, but also transforming and changing within you, so that you can now be a being that honors their humanity and elevates that for the better of others. We are ascending, yes, but we can't ascend and forget our humanity, because that is what keeps us divine. Like, we are celebrated in the universe because we do not know the power that we hold just in our emotions, our energy, our connections. We're moving into higher senses of telepathy. Right now, if we're reading each other's thoughts, we would probably be attacked by each other's thoughts. Are our thoughts pure? Are we being guided by our hearts? So everything that we're going through collectively is helping us to get inside correct and to bring us back to our humanity. So yeah, my spirit just wants you to know that your feelings, your emotions, everything about you is beautiful. Even though you're not any of those things, you are literally the eye observing those things. But never diminish never diminish the power of being human, the power to feel, the power to connect, the power to exchange. Right now, when was the last time you gave someone some money? When was the last time you exchanged something else of value with somebody? Right? Even online, it's relationships. You got masculine men and then women, and just everything is separation. Everything is separation. Everything is separation. And if everything is separation, that means the power is in unity. The power is in oneness. The power is in seeing each other's similarities rather than focusing on each other's differences. Everything right now is vying for your attention, to take you away from nature, to take you away from everything that's real. And so the minute you start denying your emotions and your feelings is when you become a robot. Who wants to be a robot? Listen, we've already got AI ready to take over. But one of the things that AI is teaching you, AI will only do what it's been taught. AI doesn't have that divine intelligence. You do. But if you think that AI and things outside of you are more valuable than the divine intelligence that you have within you, that the connection that you have to the source to know all things, and you can hear my African higher self coming out now. Like, if COVID didn't teach you this, then the next pandemic will teach you. Let's hope it's not too late, right? There's a divine vision within you, waiting to be born, and it's on the other side of your fear. I came up here today just to share my truth about my wounds of abandonment without realizing exactly what Spirit was trying to get me to do. To recognize that we're all connected by this one golden thread of humanity. Do not let them destroy that in us. Yes, your pain is valid. So is mine. So when I recognize my pain, I can hold space for your pain. When I recognize my greatness, I can hold space for your greatness. Right? The wars that you're seeing is because people feel unseen. They feel unseen. They feel unsupported. They feel unloved. But our power is in our humanity. And by me acknowledging my own wounds today, I was just saying to myself, I see you. I see you, little girl, who had to cope. I see you. But guess what? We're big now. This is what we get to do. Yeah? That's all I was doing for myself. And then by coming on here, because Spirit said share, I'm saying to you, I see you. And thank you for seeing me. I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you space to see me as I really am, human, with fears, with worries, but a willingness to work on myself because I see the benefit. We're all doing this so that we recognize and value our humanity. Never, ever, ever forget that. The world's atrocities only again showing us the need for us to honor humanity. Separation, separation, separation. Black, white, gay, man, woman, child. Well, none of it is separate. Everything is unified. Everything is a divine expression. Like the source loves itself so much that it chooses to express itself in everything just so that it can see itself. But yet you choose to deny all parts of yourself. You choose to deny your pain, but you're walking around with a wound that everyone can see. I'm sure you can feel the energy running through me, because what's going to save humanity in this space that we're in right now is care, empathy, concern, connection, humanity. So there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. The world we've lived in has been broken. It's been funked, quite honestly, but also perfectly perfect, because energy moves like this, right? It moves up and down. And if energy moves up and down, at each point you get to learn something about yourself. When you're on a rise, which is where we are right now, we're going on a rise. We learn about elevation. We learn about ascension. When we're on a fall, we learn about what it means to be in our descended state, to go back, to regress, to go back to the simplicity. So don't be so quick to get out of yourself, out of your body, out, without being present to what's going on in here. Because without this vehicle, you can't have this experience. No matter how highfalutin or high vibrational you think you are, you need to keep this body high vibrational too. And you have to be aware that at times it's going to emanate lower frequencies to show you something. If I sat there and I said, oh, I don't want to feel this abandonment, this feels icky, let me just put love and light juice on it. I have just denied myself the opportunity to transform. I have denied myself the opportunity to hold witness to a part of myself that is coming into love, that needs to be brought into love. And I can understand that if we can't do that for ourselves, how the hell are we going to be able to really do it for others? Not from a place where we can spectate, because we can all spectate. We spectate against our own stuff. We can see our own inner core wounds and still not do anything about it. But when you can value yourself enough to do something about your own pain without fear of losing yourself, without fear of you no longer becoming important because you're now looking at yourself and then creating space for somebody else. Like, we don't realize that that is actually the key. When we can see our own pain and give space to it, then we can see the pain of others and truly give space to it. When we can bring change in our own lives, then we can bring change to everything that's happening outside of us. So everything that's happening in you that's calling up for more truth and authenticity, invite it through. Because let me tell you, you can't die. I'm telling you, you can't die. You can't. The pain that you're feeling is not going to kill you. Especially when you move through it. When you move through it, you feel this ecstasy. But because you're so afraid of feeling pain, you won't even allow yourself to see what you can do. So in today, I encourage you, look, my ancestor candle is just going, I encourage you to take off the masks to your own self, to your own illusion, and open up your eyes to the truth of who you are. And also recognize where you have immobilized yourself against transforming and becoming your greatest version, where you're allowing the projections and the experiences that you've had to diminish the power within you. Everything that's happening in our lives is triggering us into transformation. It's not something that you're going to need to do for the rest of your life. I tell you, you're not broken. You don't need to heal. But what you are doing is awakening to how we perceive information, how that information impacts us. That's how we become awake. When we're asleep, we're just humans. We're just going through the journey. But when we are awake, it means to become conscious of. It means to study yourself. It means to ask questions, but to also know that you are not the pain. You are not the experience. You are the observer of the experience. But yeah, I just want to give thanks to the Most High for really inspiring me to come on here, because really, I was in my funk. I was like, yo. But Spirit's like, hang on a minute. Everything that's happening to you is happening to others as well. Everything that's happening for you is happening for them. But the more that we share our truth, and the more that we are willing to be vulnerable in our humanity, is when we're going to really start to see change. Because it's those who are controlling the world that have sold us a world of illusion that we keep on applying ourselves to. Sometimes because we don't know how, we don't know any different. But when you're no longer willing to hold illusion within yourself about you and how you feel and who you are and your power and your greatness, then you will no longer allow the world to fool you into making you think that you are any less than who it is you are, regardless of how broken you feel like you are. Their whole system would crash without you. But if you don't see the value in yourself, then you'll continue to be used. And that is what God was trying to show me this morning when I felt that irritation of feeling like I wasn't important. If I continue to digest that and then treat other people like, okay, well, you know what, life is just lifing, then I become a part of the deception. And as I said to you, one of the aspects of coping mechanisms is modeling. You thinking that, okay, well, because other people treat me like this is how the world is meant to be. When I told my mum that I had been sexually abused by my stepfather, I was guided to tell her. I knew this was part of my journey. But when I told her, and she told me I should shut up, that I'm lying, that I should keep that to myself, I realized, oh, humans don't like to hear the truth because it makes them feel uncomfortable. Humans don't like to hear the truth because it makes them uncomfortable. So guess what? I can't tell them truths if it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. I might just keep on with these pretty lies. And as a child, you don't see that that's wrong. You don't see that that's wrong. And a pretty liar is a people pleaser. That's what I mean. A pretty liar is a people pleaser. Someone who can't be true to what they feel in that moment because they've put other people's need for other people's validation above their own. No. How can you honor the calling of your own soul if you're too busy thinking about other people and how they see you, and you don't care about how you see yourself? It does not matter because you're broken. The healing is important, not because you're broken, but because you need to pull out everything within you that's been implanted in you, and not just in you, in our collective human experience, so that we don't continue it moving forward. And that's how we build the new world. We build the new world first in here, and then in our environment, and then in our community, and then it gets wider and wider, because this system, no one's going to come in here and destroy the system. The system is going to run. What we're here to do is to create new systems. And how you create new systems is by creating it here first. Because whatever you create and you embody, it is. It just is. So, yeah, you can't ask for a new world if you still have corruption inside of yourself. So we have to clear the corruption from a place of love. We have to clear the corruption from a place of love. And we have to be willing to be there for each other. But you can't do that for yourself. If you can't do that for someone else genuinely, You can be there for other people. And as I said to you, sometimes it's in the hope that someone will be there for you, but that's not genuine. Yeah? It's not genuine. Genuine love comes from being honest and truthful and open and doing just because. Okay, one of my priestesses from my priestess program, which is starting at the end of the month, just said this is why the priestesses are needed to spread this message. For sure. Because even the title priestess, how I've known it is, for me, it's not about some airy fairy, you know, just having my hair and my hat. And no, priestess is about being the bridge between the light and the dark within my own self first and foremost, because that's what gives you access to divine knowledge. That's what gives you access to the ability to be able to help others when you've traveled through your own darkness. When you travel through your own darkness, when you're aware of your own shadows, when you know who you are intrinsically, and then you learn how to use the laws of the universe. Then you know how to use the nature of alchemy so that you're not using these spiritual powers for negativity. That's why the self-mastery is so important before we gain use of these spiritual powers. Before you know how to work your psychic energy on somebody or to try and manifest something, make sure that what's going on inside of you is aligned with truth and not coming from a place of hurt, not coming from a place of darkness within yourself. So self-mastery is important. And this is how we're going to change the world, by no longer looking at other people to be the example. We are the example. So today I was the example for myself and brought myself in vulnerability. I wouldn't even say to be an example to you because that was not my intention. But if that is what happens, then it's a blessing. Most people that are on my page probably won't get to speak to me one-to-one in life, right? But what I can do is just share. I can project my frequency of truth over this universe, over this internet, and those who are aligned to receive it will receive it. Those who, I'm speaking blessings over the life of everybody who listens to this, and it triggers and activates transformation and change in them, because that is the intention, to trigger transformation and change. I pray in the fulfillment of your heart's desires. I pray in the release of all of the illusions that make you think that you are anything less than the divine in the flesh. And I speak life into you because I am a part of you, and from this frequency in me I activate that same frequency in you, but from a place of love, of the highest vibration. Amen. Amen. Ra. Okay, I think I've got a request. Something. A question in the question box. Sister Afra says, we feel it from you, Queen. Received. Ashe. I'm glad. Let's wake up. We're more mightier and powerful than we think. And when we clear out all of those subconscious programs, listen, they did a big experiment on humanity, right? And when they saw that they could imprison and enslave a group of people for 400 years, and literally once they were released, those people are still imprisoned in their own mind. Best believe that they realized the formula that they could use on the whole of humanity. Or when you think that one person's story does not have an impact on you, it has an impact. But what these niggas try to do, not even niggas, what these systems of control try to do is they keep on setting everybody against each other. So they take one group of people and treat them the hardest, and then they say to the next group of people up, you can have, if you don't do what we say, then we're going to treat you like them. We're going to give you a little bit that makes you feel a bit bigger than them. And then we're going to keep on doing that until you get to this pure white race, which is supposed to be the supreme. And this is bullshit. All of it is bullshit. All of it is rubbish. Yeah, all of it is efferys. And we need to change that shit. We need to recognize that it's foolishness. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we have to be willing to get rid of these, because we are co-signing them without even recognizing we are co-signing them. I don't know. One piece of spirit just take me, because there's so much foolishness and so much falsities, but people like to feel like they're better than others because it gives them an element of safety. But the safety is not going to be in the small numbers as we move forward. The safety is going to be in those who are in the collective, because there's power in numbers. Power in numbers. Anywho. I will let that flow. So I'm going to just let Spirit choose 3 cards to conclude. If you would like me to pull a personal message for you, then please do. But at the moment, I'm just going to go with what Spirit, what Spirit is saying to us. If this resonated with you, then please do leave me a comment in the box below. Give me some hearts. You know I love a heart. So the first card that came out was Activator, and I hope that you've been activated by this transmission. We've got number 8. 8 is all about power and prosperity, and it says here, prosperity, and the affirmation is, I am the rightful heir to divine abundance. Repeat this after me, wherever you are, hands on your heart. I am the rightful heir to divine abundance. I embrace the infinite material and spiritual richness that heaven has designated for me. I'm going to repeat that, and I hope you're repeating it. Put your hand on your heart and put some power into this. I am the rightful heir to divine abundance. I embrace the infinite material and spiritual richness that heaven has designated for me in me. I welcome prosperity flowing to me from a bountiful universe. Nowhere in there did you hear anything about lack. Nowhere in there did you hear anything about needing to work 26 hours a day. Nowhere in there did you hear anything about you having to exchange yourself for that prosperity. It's your abundance. It's your divine right. It's your energy. Your energy is your abundance. Once you get control of your energy, you'll have more abundance. Your energy is directly connected to your money. Once you master your energy, you master your money. Okay? The next card that came out is resonance. That's my word of the week, right? Resonance. Resonance is about bringing things into harmony. Harmony. So me being in this vibrational frequency right now and speaking to you guys, those of you who are maybe were feeling a little bit low when you came on and now you're feeling energized, it's through the power of resonance. When you take something that's vibrating at a higher or faster frequency and you bring it into the space of something that's vibrating at a lower frequency, the higher vibrational entity will literally raise the frequency of the other entity so that they're now both in a space of resonance, harmony, and balance. So when you are listening to somebody online and your energy just usually goes up, that's because it's in resonance. You feel the agreement. They make you feel better. They bring you to their level. But that can also happen negatively. Sometimes when you see people who have got negative emotions, negative vibes, and you go around them and all of a sudden you feel bad. Like my son was talking about that yesterday. You feel crap, you feel low in energy. Again, that's through resonance. And so resonance speaks to balance. And the affirmation is, again, bring your hands on your heart. Why are you bringing your hands on your heart? Your heart is the gateway to your divinity. When you speak, the power is coming from your heart. When you speak, your whole being vibrates. You need to be feeling yourself vibrating, right? Vibrating when you speak so that that word sound can have power, right? So the affirmation is, when I keep the right distance from others, I dance through life with lightness and balance. When I keep the right distance from others, I dance through life with lightness and balance. And what that's speaking to is engaged detachment, moving in and out of each other's field, not trying to hold anybody, not trying to control anybody, it's just literally that flow. And then the next card says flow. I mean, I couldn't even write this myself. Love that. And also, it's about being in your own autonomy, but still being able to feel somebody else. Somebody put cadence and rhythm. Yes, and I'm loving these words. Come on. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Sister Afra, for putting up the affirmations. Yes, Sister Zena, brilliant to have you here. Yes. Taurus and Olivia, you brought forth my mama today. This is divinely for my specific situation. I'm sending you much love, and I'm glad this is resonating with you. Okay, so then the last card that came out is energy and frequency. That's pretty much all I've been talking about all of today. And it says flow number 1. And the affirmation, again, get those hands. Come on, you are a vibratory being. Bring your energy into form, okay? Nice deep breath in and exhale. And it says, when I recognize myself as an immortal soul. Come on. Did I not say to you before, you cannot die? Oh, it's your illusion that you think you can die, which makes you not follow your heart, right? Hey, come on, ancestors. Sorry, my candle's just going mad again. Oh Lord, let me just get back to center. When I recognize myself as an immortal soul, I become aware of the life, vivifying the cosmos and manifesting as vibratory energy in every existing form. I'm going to say it again. When I recognize myself as an immortal soul, not human, not in the sense of not finite. I'm having a human experience and I'm tapped into the human experience, but my soul, I am an immortal soul. I cannot die. I cannot die. Hey, I hope you're saying this to yourself. I cannot die. I cannot fail, because it's the illusion of death that stops people from doing the things that they need to do. I cannot die. When I recognize myself as an immortal soul, I become aware of the life vivifying the cosmos and manifesting as vibratory energy in every existing form. Wow. When I recognize I can't die, I allow myself to see the beauty of everything. When I recognize I can't die, when I recognize I'm immortal, I allow myself to experience everything. Wait, I love that. I love that. When I realize that I am an immortal, so I live my life to the fullest, like a child, because God was talking to me, not even God, my higher self was talking to me about being in a space of awe and wonder. Why children are so connected to the divine and they can just manifest things like that, because they're in a space of awe and wonder. They don't have that thing of the ego, which has the memory of the past and has the memory of things failing, or the memory of people telling them, oh, that can't really happen in real life, you know. You have to be in a space of awe and wonder. What if this could happen? What if that could happen? What if I just focused on this for long enough? What would happen? And that's where miracles can happen and be manifest. So that's the guidance. Number one was about prosperity. I am the rightful heir to divine abundance. You are the rightful heir to divine abundance. And that's how they trap us, by making us think that we need money. We need money, and now we need to work for money, and we need to give away all of our energy to somebody else's dreams and visions, and we only get 2 weeks holiday, so we're going to need to go and make some more money. Like, really? Wow. That's life, you know. That is life, you know. And when you really peep it, that is our life. Wow. When really you are the energy. Remember, they can't do anything without you. Yes, they might get some other idiot to do it, but they still need the energy. It's still human energy. And if we were to actually value our energy more and tell them, well, actually, this is what I can do and this is what I want to be paid. It's called self-employed, right? But do you know what I mean? It's taking ownership of your own energy and the value of your own energy. So I'm the rightful heir to divine abundance. I embrace the infinite material and spiritual richness that heaven has designated for me. And I welcome prosperity flowing to me and from a bountiful universe. Resonance and balance. When I keep the right distance from others, I dance through life with lightness and balance. And flow is the last one. When I recognize myself as an immortal soul, I become aware of the life vivifying the cosmos and manifesting as vibratory energy in every existing form. Yes. Oh, thank you. If this has resonated with you, I just want to say thank you to each and everybody for joining, those who have come in, those who have left. Thank you for holding space for me as I was holding space for whoever chose to turn up today. I want to send you love of the highest vibration. I want you to know that you're not broken, that all that's happening is that you are being cracked wide open so that the power and the abundance of your divine spirit can manifest, okay, can come to the fore and can be expressed and explored. So I'm sending you love of the highest vibrations. Free Spirit says, giving thanks you came on this live. Divine guidance boosted me from a place of being in bed to rising to return to work. I love it. Give thanks. Lovely reminder of the power within and the power around. The affirmation cards, what are they called? Life alignment cards, they are called. Life alignment cards. I will put a link in live when it goes up. Hey, greetings, Sister Amanda. Oh, so happy to have you on the live. All right then, soul family. So I'm going to let you go because I've got a few clients and I need to get myself grounded. But if you would like to talk to me a little bit more, then you can definitely go into the link in my bio and book a 15-minute free consultation if you're thinking about how we can work together. If you are interested in any of my services and you want a little bit more information, then just send me a DM. And if you would like access to the hypnosis recording that I'm going to make, that I made for myself around dealing with abandonment, then again, just put in the comment box below core wounds and I will send it to you. I'm sending you much love of the highest vibrations. And thank you for spending time with me. I'm sending you so much love and praying that you have a blessed, blessed, blessed day. Please share this live with others that you feel like might benefit from it so that they can take it in their own time. And remember that we are all on this journey together, ultimately walking each other home through the process of unity consciousness. What I see from my lens and my experience might be unique and different to what you see, but together we have 360 degrees of knowledge, conscious awareness, and love. So I'm sending you love. Have a blessed day. Bye.